Hi guys, welcome back to Origami Twist. My name's Jen, and to continue the daily December challenge, I am making another video today. This one is a pie or cake shaped box. It was a viewer request, and I hope you enjoy. Please subscribe if you like videos like this. I'll be making a whole bunch more in the near future, and I also have a good lineup planned for next year as well. Alright, let's get to the tutorial. Here are the ingredients that you'll need in order to make your box. You're going to need a triangle top and bottom, and I'll show you how to make that in a moment. You'll need the sides of your box, and you'll also need the back of your box. For materials, you'll need a ruler and a paper trimmer. And I'm using the scoring blade as well as the orange cutting blade on my trimmer today. If you don't have a paper trimmer, you can use scissors and just draw a line along the paper and cut along it. And you could also use a stylus in place of the embossing tool on the trimmer. It all depends on what you have. You can experiment a bit and see what works best for you. You're also going to need some adhesive. I'm using a double-sided adhesive from the brand Express It that I purchased here in Australia. But again, like with most of the projects I make on this channel, you can use the adhesive that works best for you. And white glue would work just as well as this would. It just takes a little longer to dry, that's all. Okay, so let's start with those triangles. Now I've sized this box today so that you can actually use a photo as the top or the bottom. So a 4x6 inch photo. You'll notice I'm going to give all of the measurements here in inches today, and that's because I chose to use a photo size, which is pretty standard 4x6. You can convert it to centimeters if you want to, but it will be most accurate if measured in inches. So that's what I'm going to use. Now we'll use the actual photo itself to create the template here. You can use cardboard to create one and then trace around it, or just measure it out for each one if you want to. So the whole an entire short side is going to be the base of your triangle. And then you'll notice this is much skinnier than that equilateral triangle we've used in the past. So in order to get that size, all I'm going to do is take my ruler on the end that I want to be the pointy side, and you'll notice it's 4 inches across. You're going to find the midway point. In this case, it's 2 inches. So for 4 inches, it's 2 inches is the midway point, and make a mark. You're then going to take that mark and the corner of the opposite side, and either use your trimmer to trim it right off, or if you're using a ruler, put your ruler at the point that you've drawn, bring it right down to the corner, draw a line, and cut along the line. And do the same thing for the other side. Use that center point down to the corner, draw a line, and cut. Or use your trimmer and avoid marks altogether. I'm going to use this green one for the bottom that I've already made. And as I said, you can either create a template, or if you're making a whole bunch of these, say for a party favor or something like that, you'll find that when you take that triangle and turn it upside down like this, it has the same shape. So it fits right into place. The neat thing about that is that if you're using a 12x12 sheet of paper that's 6 inches wide, so if you take a 12x12 and cut it in half, you should be able to mark off every 4 inches and then go up to the other side of the paper, measure in 2 inches, and then from that 2-inch point, measure every 4 inches and make a mark at each corner, and you should be able to connect the dots and easily make a whole string of triangles. So once again, that's one side of that 6-inch sheet of paper. You're going to mark in 4 inches, and then another 4 inches, and so on. And then to the other side, mark in 2 inches, and then mark every 4 inches to the end of the paper. And then connect those dots to make your triangles, and you have a whole bunch. Okay, once you've created your triangles, next we'll move on to the back of the box. Now, the back of your box is going to be the same length as the base of your triangle, so 4 inches. which means we have to make it a little bit bigger than 4 inches wide because we'll be creating some tabs on here. So this is actually 5 inches by 3 inches deep. And that's because the entire box is going to be 2 inches deep. So again, some tabs and things to make everything fit. Now, once you've cut out the 5 inch by 3 inch rectangle, you're then going to take either your embossing tool or your paper trimmer using your embossing blade or your scoring blade. And I don't know if you can see the marks I've created there, but you're going to mark in 1/2 inch and create a score mark 1/2 inch in all the way around the back. So if you're unfamiliar with that, just give you a quick bit of information, but I do have other videos on my channel that go into scoring in a lot more detail, so you're welcome to check those out as well. But you're going to start at your 0 mark of your ruler, measure in 1/2 inch, and then move it up to the other side, starting at the 0 mark on your ruler, measure in 1/2 inch, and then connect that dot to that dot with a scoring blade. So rather than cutting, it's going to create a little groove so that it's easier to fold. And you're going to do that all the way around, and you're done with the back. Now for the sides. Now the sides are going to be very similar to the back in that you're going to be cutting them to a specific size and then doing a little bit of scoring. So we'll start with the sides of the top of the box. And so that will be on the side of the long edges there. And one of these is going to be 6 1/4 inches long. So that when you cut out the paper, you'll make it 6 1/4 inches by 1 1/4 inches deep. And that allows a nice 3/4 inch flap on your finished box. So 6 1/4 by 1 1/4. Then you're going to score 1/2 inch in from the side all the way down. So again, same thing, measure in 1/2 inch, measure in 1/2 inch, and connect the 2 points with a scoring blade. And then you're going to need one more skinny rectangle. This one's going to be a little bit bigger because you'll need the end tab to connect the 2 pieces together. So this one's going to be 6 3/4 inches by 1 1/4. So you can see it's only 1/2 inch longer than the other one. So 6 3/4 by 1 1/4. And exactly the same thing, you're going to measure in 1/2 inch on either side and score, or use your trimming board with a scoring blade. So score in 1/2 inch, and then you'll want to come in, so with that 1/2 inch on the top and the score mark there, you're going to measure in 1/2 inch from the side and 1/2 inch from the side and score so that you have a little tab coming off the end here. And last but not least, we need the 2 sides for the bottom. So this is going to be almost identical to these skinny top ones, except that it's a slightly wider piece. So one of the rectangles will be 6 3/4 inches, just like the other one, but it will be 2 1/2 inch deep. And the other rectangle will be 6 1/4 inches long, just like the other one, but this time it's again 2 1/2 inches deep. On the longer one, you're going to bring in, once again, come in 1/2 inch, connect the dots, or score in at 1/2 inch mark. And then you'll need to do a similar thing to what you did with the longer one up here, where you'll measure in 1/2 inch into the long way and connect the 2 so that you have another 1/2 inch score mark. And if you're curious how to do that with your scoring blade, you simply slide your paper in. So you'll measure into the 1/2 inch mark, keeping in mind that the groove is your 0 point. Place it down and use your scoring blade. Remember to use the black one, not the orange one, because you'll cut a piece off if you use the orange one, and score at 1/2 inch. And that works the same for any time that you want to measure in a 1/2 inch. You can do that on any of these. Okay, so in a 1/2 inch and score, in a 1/2 inch and score, and you're done with the long one. The short one, or the 6 1/4 inch one, you're just going to measure down or measure in the long way, 1/2 inch and score along there, but no extra tabs on the side. So just that one scoring mark. Okay, when you're almost ready for assembly, we're just going to fold along all of those 1/2 inch score lines. And this is actually a good one to practice if you are new to scoring, since you don't have to measure in any, all of them are 1/2 inch score lines. So I'm going to fold all of the pieces ready to go. And you'll notice I've actually cut out the places where the 2 1/2 inch score lines meet. So there are little squares that I've cut out. That will make it easier to attach the box to itself. So do that on the back and also on those 2 longer pieces. So you can cut out the corner there as well. So that one and the other thing I find helpful when putting together boxes like this is to taper in the corners a little bit. So I've just trimmed a little bit off of each of the tabs. And what that will allow you to do is fit everything in easier, since it is made out of cardstock. They tend to get pretty bulky pretty quick. Okay, now there are lots of different ways that you can do the assembly process. I'm going to start with the back and the 2 triangles and work from there. But as I said, you can do it however you like, and it may also depend on what sort of adhesive you're using. So make sure the outside of the box is facing out, and that all of your pieces have been folded into the center. And again, if you're using a textured cardstock, make sure that's on the outside when attaching it to the tabs. Okay, now I've trimmed off a little bit here, but not quite enough. That's okay. You can always trim afterwards. And if you're doing this assembly line style, after you get a couple down, you'll know exactly where to cut without even having to think about it. Okay, so there's the bottom and the back, and now I'm going to attach the photo to the top. Just like that. And if you want a more finished look on the inside, you can use double-sided cardstock like I've got here, though obviously it doesn't match. I didn't pick it for the inside, but that's okay. Or you can make just one more triangle and use that on the other side as well, just to give it a bit thicker top and bottom, and also to, hide some of the excess lines. It all depends on what you'd like. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but if you're doing it for a gift or something like that, you may find you want to finish it off a little bit more. Okay, next step is sides. So I think I'm going to attach the sides to the bottoms first. So use the long one. Now when you do this, make sure that you're attaching it to the correct side. And by that I mean that you want that tab to be at the point and not at the back. So if your tab's on the other side because you've missed a step or something, make sure you put it on the correct side so that the tab ends up over here. It's quite easy to get it backwards, but as long as you put it in the right spot, backwards won't matter too much. So just put it on the other side. This is a fairly forgiving box. And once again, didn't cut enough tab off, obviously. This is a skinny point there. That's okay. And we'll do the side on the other side. You can see how easy double-sided tape is with this project, though, as I said, you're certainly welcome to use glue if you want to. I'm actually going to cut a bit more off of that end piece so that it fits inside the box. So it fits inside the box better. And you'll be able to gauge that as you go, as you line it up with your own box. No big measuring there, it's just simply a matter of attaching it in the right spot. Okay, there we go. Now I found that when I trimmed this side, I was slightly smaller than 6 1/4. So I've bumped the edge right to the back of the project, because in the front I've got a tab, so I can, you know, work out that gap a little bit better with that tab. Whereas back here, if I had a big gap, it wouldn't, well, I guess you've got a tab there too, but I don't know. I like the look of pushing it as far back as possible. But do whatever works for you. Okay, so there's that one. Now I'll do the same on this side, but with the short ones. And again, that extra tab needs to be at the point end and not at the back end. Okay, so the whole box is attached. We just need to make all of the flaps attach correctly in 3D. So making sure that you have nice creases on the tops and bottoms, so it's a nice box shape. I'm going to go ahead and stick those together, and the top is finished. Now I do find that that top needs to be the most creased in, because it tends to bow out if you haven't done that. You could reinforce it with a little extra cardstock if you want to, make that 2 thick instead of 1, but it's totally up to you. Okay, so now I'm going to take that back piece and attach it to the side. Once again, making sure everything's creased really well before committing. And that goes on the outside, and then we'll do the same on this side. So that end tab for the bottom is going to tuck under, line it up with that fold. The edge goes with the fold really neatly, and press on the back. Again, if you have glue, you're going to want to hold on to it a little longer, or maybe use some little paper clips or clips to hold it in place while it dries. Okay, and that last one. And then, like I said, you can put one more triangle on the inside to finish it if you want, or just leave it the way it is. And close it down, and there you go. One cake box, perfect for a wedding or a Christmas present, or if you are selling soap and you want to put soap slices in there, that would be really neat. It's all good. I hope you enjoyed that, guys, and I hope you decide to make a cake box. And we'll see you back here again tomorrow for another Daily December video. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.